December 1st, 2019. It's approximately 10:40 Eastern Standard Time. We're at Upper Marlboro, Maryland, where we've been visited by a friend of more than 40 years, almost 50 years, Maurison Thomas, who I met in 1970 when we came to live on DDA Lane. Maurison Thomas later distinguished himself at the St. Mary's Academy and in the world of retail and telecommunications in the United States. He's married to Kathy Toulon at the Convent High School. Of course, Maurison went to St. Mary's. And we went through a very pivotal time in Dominican history. Maurison, good evening.
Good evening, Evan.
Can you tell me where you were born and when were you born?
I was born in Goodwill, Princess Margaret Hospital, January 30th, 1960.
Outstanding. And you were the son of?
Tyrell, Assistant Superintendent of Police Tyrell Thomas.
Tyrell, Tyrell
Yes,
Thomas.
Tyrell Thomas.
And?
Jean Adley Thomas, Nee Prevost.
Okay.
From
Spell Jean for me.
Jean, Jean.
And where was your father from in Dominica?
Vegas.
And
my mother was from Margaret.
Outstanding. And tell us about your siblings. How many siblings did you have?
I have 5 other siblings. Hillary, Johnson, Vanessa, Christine, and Ronald.
That's with your mom.
Yes.
And of course, you've got some other siblings.
Oh, yeah, on my dad's side.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yes.
You know, Albert, Desmond, Kelvin, Rennick, you know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Dominicans are familiar with those guys. So,
Yes, of course.
You know,
I think I know all of them.
and the rest is history.
Yes, yes. So my wife is bringing you something. My wife is very nice. My wife is.
I have crumpets, you know. That's what you
My
ask
wife
for.
is.
Let
My
me
wife.
tell you, you come in the wrong house if you think you're going to pretend like you're asking for something and it's not coming your way.
My wife is very, very good host.
Very.
So, Mose, I know we'll be brief, but I just wanted to let you know that Justice Irvin Andre advised me today he's working on what might be one of his last pieces. Take a break. It's going to be the biography of Rosie Douglas, who you knew and I knew. But before I get to Rosie Douglas, tell us about what it was like growing up in the 1960s, 70s on Dominica.
It was a very interesting time growing up. I think it was very eye-opening for me and my siblings and you, of course. I mean, we were, you know, we were just at the feet and just absorbing everything that was, you know, being disseminated by brothers like Rosie Douglas, Hilary and Deja, Donald Peters, Booty Shillingford, Neville Griffin, Claude Bellart, Roy Mason, Desmond Trotter. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, you mean Neville Graham, in fact, Bernardina just died the other day, Neville Graham. These guys were all at SMA. And you're talking about activists in what was then called the Black Power Movement.
Black Power Movement, MND.
MND means Movement for
New Dominica.
Movement for New Dominica.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were just really, you know, they were really conscious, and they often challenged the government on areas that the government had, you know, the government and I'd say law enforcement too. They had little resolve because these guys. When I think back and I look back at it, the trickle down of the 60s in America seemed to have finally reached the shores of Dominica. So you had guys that were really radicalized in ideology. I remember Julian Johnson.
Yeah, Julian Johnson.
Julian Johnson, the same, was he a PS?
PS, yes. Cabinet Secretary, yes.
This guy, remember this guy marching in front of Royal Bank of Canada when Rosie was arrested in Canada?
Yes.
Free the damn man. And I was a young kid, Polish child in the midst of those crowds, and I think it was, I don't remember it's Manson, but one of those guys gave me a sign to put up, free the damn man.
And they were talking about Rosie Douglas.
And they're talking about Rosie Douglas, and we walked from Royal Bank, front of the Bay Fund, all the way to Cane Field, where they had Dumkin Timbers.
That's Dominica Canada Timber Company.
Yes, exactly. And I walked, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, this was a far distance for a young kid, to walk all the way down there. And I think on my way back, some police officers saw me. They picked me up and they put me in the van and brought me back home.
Because your father was a very senior police officer.
My father was a police officer. And
By the time I met your dad, he was already an inspector.
yeah,
And later he became a superintendent of police.
these guys would challenge it. They would challenge law enforcement. I remember just when I was about to go to St. Mary's Academy, guys like Rupert Sorrento came down. He'd just come back from Iona.
Rutgers.
No, I think it's Iona in New York, New Rochelle or wherever it is. He come down. He was about to start teaching SMA, and again, I think it was the aftermath of the
73 strike.
at SMA. When
Would they walk out by the Black
the
Police?
brothers or something. But they had something between Fort Young and the Cenotaph over there. There was a demonstration again, and I think a cop kind of bashed Rupert
In the head. No, I'll tell you where it was, Maurison. I was there. It was at the bottom of the ministry.
Right.
He had a placard around his neck. That's Rupert Sorrento, saying human rights or something like that. It was the 73 strike when they'd taken out Cordon Raw, Papa D, from DBS, and they had that big strike. And they had put Sims and Maxime on the house arrest. And Soko Fly was the one. A policeman by the name of Soko Fly, he's still around. He hit him on his head with a baton. I saw it, and he says, "Where's my human rights?"
And I think Rupert kind of held that against me while I was going to school when he found out who my father was. I mean, he was one of my favorite teachers. I mean, he wasn't hostile towards me, but he reminded me that he got a little knock on the head from law enforcement.
Yes.
But these are good times and these are great times, and
Maurison, tell us a little bit about the neighborhood, because we grew up in a very peculiar neighborhood.
we did.
Tell us what kind of neighbors were they, because that was a development. One lane was DD Lane, named after LCDDA, a government parliamentarian in the Labour Party, and the other lane was Leblanc Lane, named after the premier, Edward Oliver Leblanc.
I didn't even know that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So this was one of the first exercises in urban planning, because these were homes with some of them had garages, porches, indoor plumbing, electricity, all the modern conveniences.
And a bunch of high-profile civil servants lived over there.
Tell us about some of those people that you remember.
We had the chief of police, Owen Phillip.
That's Oliver Norris Phillip.
Yeah. We had next to Owen Phillip was the Dewhursts,
Dewars.
famous footballer.
Yes, and Dewars.
Pilot, Peter the pilot.
Yeah, the Dewars family was interesting. Dewars' mother was black, but their father was a white Englishman.
Oh yeah. Then down the lane we had another civil servant, high civil servant, Lawrence, the Lawrences.
Yes.
Next to that was the Dailies, the Rolls.
Daly was an inspector of police at some point.
Yeah, across the
Roll was a former British Army infantryman.
Then down the road was the Jaime, the Shell guy.
Yeah, he drives the big Bowser, the big
oil
fuel
tank.
tanker for Shell Company.
And across was again the Solomons, the Arab guy. Was he
Yes,
Arab?
yeah,
or
Arab.
That made
Yes.
children with the
With the Carib lady.
yeah. And upstairs there was an old man called Andy who worked for Dumpkin Timbers
Indeed.
and married a woman, Gladys from Marigot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A little above, across from Daly was Sevre, who was a
for
CDC, CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation, the electric company.
Yeah.
And in fact, his chest had caved in because my mother told me the reason it had caved in was he was one of the people in the stands when Superman came to Dominica. Superman was a guy who could hold back a car with his teeth, and he could pull a car with his finger. And people crowded the savannah, and the stands fell, and he was one of the people beneath the stand, and it fell on his chest, almost killed him, But on DDA Lane,
No, still label them, going on label them because you go down and
Lawrence was a senior, was a police officer.
yeah.
Then
Carissa
was a police.
Carissa was down. Was there? Master in Labad built a house all by himself on
Yes.
the other side. Levy, the former headmaster
Of grammar school. Levy had gone to India. He was an
Yeah.
Indian college graduate. He'd studied geography in India. His wife had gone to Catholic University. So here you had people, the first cohort of what you call university educated people.
Yep.
And then I think at Polydor, who was a public works mid-level official.
Frenchman. I think that guy was either from Martinique
Or Guadeloupe.
I think he was from Martinique, one of the French islands.
Yes, yes.
For a mechanic, he was a very neat man.
Yes,
He had a lot
yes.
of drop of oil, but he worked on heavy equipment, and public works was just down the road.
The public works department was just down the road.
Then there was our house. Next was Lovelo Toussaint, surveyor.
Inspector George.
Then there was the
George was the manager of the stock farm, although he rented his place.
custodian. That was their house.
Yes, the
Sabina
custodian of the
Rose
government
and-
stock farm, yeah.
and those girls.
The manager of the stock farm, really.
Yeah. Then Valmont,
Inspector Valmore,
Inspector Valmont.
who was married, there were people, mixed French Carib people.
Then across the street was the Lintons.
Yeah. Both mother and father were teachers.
mother and father
The
teachers.
father was a principal at one point of the Goodwill School.
Richie and Mishak Linton.
Mishak, Lennox Linton, Irvin
Father,
Pascal.
Yep. All of us, grew up in that area, Woodhouse in that house. Then the Brohims,
The Lebanese.
the Lebanese came and built a house there. Then empty lot, the Darus.
They were in Curacao. There were people who had done Curacao in the oil and had done well and come back to Dominica with Osman and Jinx.
And then Bergen's the Antiguan plumber. Was he Antiguan? Where was he from?
In Antigua was St.
Vincent.
St. Vincent, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a plumber, builder, very distinguished.
And
Then you had Didier, who was,
Didier.
who was like an accountant or something.
worked for Astafans. Then across that house there was Simeon.
Simeon, he was an orderly at the hospital.
And then there was you guys.
That's right. My dad at that time was a fire brigade station officer in charge of the airport and so on.
But where what's his name? Mr. David?
David was next to us. David was
That's
a builder.
Heidi brother back on the other side there.
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
But above that house, next to my uncle there on Prevo, there was another white guy who used to work for
Dominican Timbers.
too.
Yes,
Lived
Ken.
up to
His
the
name was
house.
Ken.
Yeah.
And he used to beat his girlfriend all the time. And next morning he should sit on the porch like nothing happened.
And there was my uncle,
New Prevost, by far,
famous
famous mechanic, by far one of the best
Famous.
mechanics in Dominica.
road
Heavy
cutter too.
equipment.
Cut a lot of the roads from Marga, from Marga.
He was a bulldozer operator, a road cutter.
Yeah.
Then you had the Polish surveyor's assistant, Ma Abraham and her husband,
Karol Winsky.
Karol Winsky.
Yeah.
He was a member of General Anders' army who had been sent to Dominica with 3 other Poles. And he was a surveyor, and Ma Abraham worked for him. And then you had
Another Vinci guy over there, Ruben.
Ruben. Ruben was a bulldozer operator, married to Louisa Bedno from Vickers. And
Bedno's, yeah.
Bedno's. Then you had the police officer again, Daniel.
Daniel.
Police officer
Then
again.
another police officer.
Another police officer, police sergeant Thomas.
Thomas.
To call him Toi.
Yeah, and then a prison officer.
Prison officer. Harris.
Harris.
Reno Harris and his wife.
Yes.
Of course, his wife was a major supporter of Premier Patrick John. He was a senior police officer.
we were we were competition for Upper Goodwill because
Yes.
all the high-ranking civil servants and the well-to-do peoples lived up in Goodwill, Center Roma.
So this was a middle-class enclave of senior police officers and civil servants and so on. My mother, of course, worked for the blind and so on.
Yes.
So that was the environment within which
up in.
we grew up in. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And it's in the mix, in the middle of that social milieu, that the whole Black Power movement and the Pan-African movement exploded. So I'll pause at this point in time so you can have something to eat and we'll get back to it.